December of 2014, I found a lump in the shower. Basically, I had a, MRI, we had a biopsy, and then I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in January. In that moment, when they told me I had breast cancer, I always say it was like my physical body left itself, and I was just like above in the room, like looking down. One of my sorority sisters came with me because my mom was out of the country at the time. So it was like I was looking at what they were saying, and it was just like wah 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 wah. It was just like not English to me. And I just remember going into the car and like crying, and then having to call my parents and let them know what was going on, because they were out of the country at the time.
That's today's guest, Deniece Delerme. Today, we're going to hear from Deniece and her husband Gardy about cancer, fertility preservation, and the support they found along the way. I'm Dan Bulger with Progyny, and this is Infertility.
6 days before my 33rd birthday, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. At that point, cancer cells grow very fast, so I was just inundated with a lot of information about family planning and fertility and all that stuff. I had no idea that cancer treatment would affect fertility and affect, future fertility options. That's just something I just didn't know of. My mom was diagnosed at an older age, so that's not something I knew like worked hand in hand. So when my oncologist suggested egg preservation or IVF, I was like, okay, because at that point, it's like you told me I had cancer. At that point, I wasn't really thinking about having kids. So it's like, whatever I have to do really quickly to just get to chemo. So I went through IVF right away, just because, again, cancer cells grow really fast, and we kind of just wanted to do this as soon as possible. And I applied for a program with Lance Armstrong called the Live Foundation.
Live Strong Foundation.
Sorry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where he basically assisted young cancer survivors with treatment options. So I was able to get into that program, and that definitely helped with a lot of the costs associated with IVF. But I remember, I don't know if you remember, babe, but like, I remember coming to visit you one time, and I had my needles in a bag. Yeah. And I had to go through the airport security, and then you helped me do the shots and all that. And then I went straight into chemo and radiation. I did that for about 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm. After cancer treatment, Deniece was on medications that stopped her menstrual cycle for a time. After getting off of those medications, she and Gardy got married and started trying.
I started having my cycle again. We got married, and then a month after we got married, I actually went in to have a myomectomy, which is a removal of fibroids. For the actual myomectomy procedure, when I went in to schedule the myomectomy at first, the doctor called me and was like, well, I have good or bad news. Which one do you want first? I was like, let's do the bad news first. And the bad news is that you won't be able to go forward with the myomectomy. But the good news is because you're pregnant. And I was like, yay. And at that point, it was a surprise because, like I said, I was menopausal throughout our entire, while we were dating. So I did not have my cycle or anything like that. And apparently we got pregnant on our wedding night. So that was a surprise. But then a few weeks later, unfortunately, the pregnancy was not viable. It ended up being a biochemical pregnancy. So, clearly I had a miscarriage. And then that's when I went ahead and continued with the myomectomy. I had the 40 fibroids removed. We healed a little bit after that. And then we started to try naturally to conceive. And in the process of that, I ended up finding out that I have a blocked fallopian tube.
They had been through a lot, but they had each other to lean on the entire way.
I just tried to be there every chance I could. I made frequent trips to New York. When I couldn't fly, I would drive. Mm-hmm. I would race the road by myself, and I came as often as possible. I tried to be as supportive. When key medical things would come up, I'd try to be there for her and come. There was even a time I spent an elongated amount of time in New York and slept in the hospital and all kinds of things. So I just tried to be there as much as possible.
Yeah, and I kind of just, because again, we were dating for 4 months at that time. And I kind of told him hey, this is what's happening right now. Are you down or not? And he was just like, yes, I'm down. And he's been super supportive. Even though we were miles away, he was just an emotional crutch for me. And then we also created a business that forged fashion and breast cancer awareness. So I think that was a way that we both were able to cope with what was going on in a positive way.
Having froze her eggs prior to cancer treatment, Deniece had provided herself with an excellent option if she and Gardy found themselves having difficulty trying to conceive.
You can try in the future, but then those eggs would be chemo infused, radiation infused, and who knows what other medications I would have to go through, as opposed to having 32-year-old chemo-free, radiation-free eggs.
After experiencing the pregnancy loss, Deniece went ahead with her myomectomy to remove the fibroids.
I scheduled the myomectomy, which we thought it would be only 8 fibroids, and then we ended up finding it was about 40. They were all kind of like hiding behind each other, so they couldn't really see it from the ultrasound or whatever. So we had that surgery, I think March in 2021. And then I also had a double mastectomy as well.
Double mastectomy.
And reconstruction. And all that. So yes, because we got pregnant so quickly after getting off the tamoxifen, I thought the next time we got pregnant would be sooner. Like I just thought it would be easy because we were able to get pregnant. So so soon after getting off the tamoxifen, I just thought it would just come naturally. So we tried. We waited a few months, and then we tried, and it just wasn't happening. Let's try IUI. IVF was kind of like our last resort, only because we had to get our eggs transferred from New York to Georgia, which was a whole legal deal in itself. Just getting it transported here. And then IVF is also way more invasive. Financially, it's definitely more costly. So we were like, okay, let's try the IUIs first. And we did the IUI in 2022. Mm-hmm. We did 3 rounds, and that was unsuccessful.
After 3 failed IUI cycles, the couple decided it was time to move ahead with IVF with their frozen eggs.
We did our own research. We saw that, 3 or 4 times is kind of like the max, and then most people suggest moving forward with the IVF. And, like we always say, we had eggs on deck. So at that point, they weren't fertilized yet by his sperms, and that's when we decided to move forward with the fertilization. And then after the fertilization, I think we lost some.
Currently, we have 7. We had 7 embryos, fully formed embryos. We've used 1 so far. We're going to start our second round of implantation. Yeah.
Everything went well. Implantation went well. I ended up getting pregnant. And from there things just went south after about 7 weeks or so.
After their second pregnancy loss, their clinic recommended they utilize PGTA to test the embryos for genetic abnormalities.
Everything worked out fine until after implantation. So that's kind of normally we're like, is that a genetic issue? So that's why we decided to get the 6 PGTA testing, which is what we're doing now.
Now through the grant.
Yeah.
PGTA is a great option for those who are leveraging IVF, but it does come with some additional cost, and their insurance was not going to be covering it. But fortunately, they received additional support from the Broken Brown Eggs AHA grant.
At that point, maybe I was just like a little exhausted. I was like, these grants, we weren't getting anywhere with them. So I saw it, and then his cousin actually told us about it one night when they were talking on the phone. She's like, oh, I heard about this grant, Broken Brown Egg. And I was like, oh, I actually just saw that on Instagram. So that's kind of like what pushed me. It was kind of like, to me, a sign. Where it was like, okay, let's go forward with it. We went forward with the application. And then, a few weeks later, got the amazing news.
Yeah.
And I was actually at the hair salon, and it was not a good moment of mine. I was in the middle of getting my hair done. And I got the email saying, hey, we want to get on a call with you to basically go through your application. I was like, fine, of course. And I got on the call, and she was like, Deniece, thanks for thanks for applying, and thanks for answering back. And we want to let you know you won. And it was just like, I look crazy, but like
in her hairdresser smock and everything. Her hair was half done.
It was quite funny. I was crying. It was like a super emotional, happy day.
The AHA grant gave the couple a little peace of mind as they continued their journey.
It just feels freeing that we are not financially like in a chokehold, and like, how are we going to make this happen? Because anyone going through IVF or who have gone through it, we know it's like an emotionally daunting experience. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of like, it's not linear at all. It's a lot of things that come into play. You have to start and stop. And then like the financial burden as well. So it's helped us a lot in regards to now where we move forward with the PGTA testing, like right away, as opposed to kind of waiting to figure out how we were going to pay for everything. Even the cryo storage. Yeah, the cryo storage, we were able to pay for our storage in advance for the last 3 months with that. And then we have a few other things coming up clearly with the embryo transfer and all that. And then we were able to get a $2,000 grant, I guess, with the pharmacy, which they actually gave me a call right before our interview, letting me know that I had something in waiting for me. So it's been great. It's been such a godsend.
Because that's going to help a lot, too, when we start doing, like, progesterone shots and all that kind of stuff, the needles and everything like that. So,
Thank you so much. Like, I can't. It's just like the hope that this grant has given us. It's like, it's priceless, to be honest. It's priceless. And like I said, it's such an emotionally daunting experience. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, and of course financially. So having that stress off of us, and I feel like you said this to me, honey, like the stress of not having to worry too much about the financial things that happen with IVF, I think will kind of release that off of me and like make me just feel a little more calm and at peace. And just I'm going into the IVF cycle, well, the embryo transfer cycle this time, more at peace and at ease. Because I know what to expect and I know we have financial backing.
Because although we knew we would get it before the finances to do it, it was like, okay, we have to move these things around and make sure we have this cash on hand to do this. We don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. So we need, okay, this part, okay, it's $5,000 this month. Okay, next month, okay, we have to have $3,000 for this test. And so just knowing that we have something in the stash that we could tap into, I feel will relieve some pressure on her of a worry, which will in turn hopefully make everything smooth and, because worry could weigh on the body and things like that.
Absolutely.
So having that worry off of us is just a great help, and I'm appreciative.
From cancer to treatment, from trying to IVF, Gardy and Deniece have been through a lot. And it's the strength and faith that they found in each other that has helped them push forward.
Together, we just feel like together we could do it all. And her strength and how she went through this process and with strength and resiliency, like I tell her, like, she does not look like what she's been through. And it's, it's a gift and a curse because people may take it lightly because she's so stylish and fly, and came through this looking great and everything like that. But she was just so resilient through it all and really strong. And she had her moments, of course, privately and stuff like that, but the world will never know. And she's just such a prayer warrior and strengthened our faith immensely. And I'm just lucky to have her.
He's just been my rock. And, he's a silver lining kind of guy. So I always tell everybody, like, thank God for Gardy because he just puts a different perspective on things. When we went through even from my cancer diagnosis, when I told him I had cancer, he was like, we're here. You're going to get through this. You're strong. I'll be here no matter what. So just his strength and his faith in God is simply like admirable, so he definitely pulls me up when I'm down, and I'm just so thankful and grateful for him.
I want to thank Deniece and Gardy for sharing their story with us today, and I want to thank you for listening. If you want to connect with us, you can do so on Instagram at This Is Infertility Podcast. If you want to follow Progyny, you can do that at Progyny Inc. Of course, if you're listening on a podcast app, please leave a rating and review. This is Infertility is brought to you by Progyny. Please remember that this podcast is not intended to substitute for the personalized, expert advice of your physician. I'm Dan Bulger, and this is Infertility.